G'day Grumpies, and welcome to a very special edition of Grumpy Old Bloke Goes Through His Vinyl Collection. Today I'm doing a mini special on one band, and that band is Prog Nerd Heaven. So welcome to my Blackfield special. Whilst I would never refer to Blackfield as a supergroup, there's certainly a collaboration between two great artists. First of all, Aviv Geffen from Israel, and also Stephen Wilson, who, for those of you prog heads and regular viewers of this show, will already be very familiar of Porcupine Tree. What else is he in? Bass Communion, all sorts of side projects. The man seems to have an incredible appetite for work and output, and all of a high quality standard. The first album Blackfield brought out, this Blackfield 1, came out in 2000 well, they actually recorded it in 2003. This version comes out in 2004. Aviv asked Porcupine Tree to tour Israel in 2000, and as a result of that, Stephen and himself met up and recorded a song together. And they obviously enjoyed that, because over the next few months they recorded an EP, and eventually the record company and they both decided, well, they probably could manage an album together. So over the space of about 18 months, this album was recorded. As I say, it's a collaborative effect. This is the inside. The wonderful gatefold. Here's the back. There we go. Now, to describe Blackfield, I suppose the best way to describe them would be Porcupine Tree Light. It sort of explores the softer, more poppy side of Porcupine Tree, and far more concise, a bit melancholic, as is you would expect from that output. But the songs are much more concise. They're sort of 3 to 4 minute songs without all of the instrumentation and incredible orchestration that you would expect from Porcupine Tree. So it's a bit more stripped down, a little bit more poppy, and I think that's obviously Aviv Geffen that's having the biggest influence on that. So this was the first album that came out. The inner sleeve, there you go, it's one. I happen to have a double album version of it. It is a single album, but this is presented as a double album pack. There we go. And the bottle inside, which can be a little bit confronting for some. The albums themselves, the vinyl themselves. There we go. And again, the other one. There you are. This particular version I have is on K-Scope. Here is your track listing. And as I said, if you're a fan of Porcupine Tree, you'll like this. Blackfield really come in 3 different sections. There's the first section is the first 2 albums, then there's the 3rd and 4th album, and then the 5th and 6th album. This is the 2nd album, and essentially you can think of this as Blackfield 1 and Blackfield 2 as a double album together, as they seem to go extremely well together. They're very similar in style. There we are, there's the inside. There's the 2 chaps there. Unusually bright clothing for both of them. There's the back of the album. There's your track listing up the top there. And it contains predominantly the same 5 musicians that were on the first album. They had toured the first album, and so they're probably a little bit tighter, a little bit more musicianship. So yeah, very, very similar albums in style, and you can certainly hear the Porcupine Tree influence on this one. Aviv writes the lyrics and writes most of the songs. Stephen Wilson has more of an arrangement and guitars input on this particular album. This is very reminiscent of Porcupine Tree. I can't help thinking Porcupine Tree every time I see that. Here's the vinyl. This is also on the K-Scope label. As I say, parts 1 and 2 of essentially the same album. So a really wonderful side project by Steve Wilson, who this was just as he was beginning his own solo career, which explains what happens in the 3rd and 4th album. With Steve Wilson concentrating more on his solo career, he took a step back from Blackfield. And as a result, the 3rd and 4th albums are really Aviv Geffen projects, who took the lead on all of this. This is Blackfield III, effectively, called Welcome to My DNA. This came out in 2011. Track listing for you there. But as I said, Stephen Wilson really was a contributor on this album, had far less to do with the actual making of the album itself. There you go. It's actually a really lovely label. I do love that DNA scope on there, and also on the inner sleeve as well. There you go, and on that side, there we go. So the songs were shorter and popular. This is quite a short album as well, as were a lot of the Blackfield albums, unfortunately. That in 2013, this came out. This is Blackfield IV, which is an even shorter album. I think there's only about 30 minutes of music on it, but I think there's 11 songs or something like that. So we're getting into pop zone territory. There's your track listing there. Also on K-Scope. Here is the inner sleeve for Blackfield IV. And there you go. Now, we have to remember when Blackfield IV was being recorded by Aviv Geffen, with help from Stephen Wilson, that Stephen Wilson was working on an album called The Raven That Refused to Sing. And as a result of that, I think I can forgive anything. So this second period of Blackfield, albums 3 and 4, you can think really more of Aviv Geffen albums with contributions from Stephen Wilson. He also mixed them. Essentially then, we can think of these two albums as pop prog, I suppose would be a good way of putting it. They're sort of shorter, lighter songs, predominantly done by Aviv Geffen with contributions from Stephen Wilson. And at the end of that period, after Blackfield IV, Stephen Wilson announced that he was leaving the band to concentrate on his solo efforts. In 2015, however, it was announced that Aviv Geffen and Stephen Wilson had been seen in the studio together recording, and also they'd announced the presence of Alan Parsons, the great producer. And as a result of that, in 2016, this came out, Blackfield of Five. Now, this is, again, back to the old Blackfield, like the first and second album, and as such is a proper, true collaboration. Now, as you can see, the bottle on the front is reminiscent of the first album, that one, and Stephen Wilson explained that as it being the essence of Blackfield, as in they were back together again as a full collaborative project. Nice little touch. Inside, chap's looking very cool. Back cover, there you go, there's a track listing. Again, this album is on Interscope. The inner sleeve consists of, well, it doesn't, they're actually in black paper sleeves as a general rule. Comes with the little insert. There we go, with all the lyrics and usual credits for the band. It also came with a digital download, and this is the vinyl itself, as you can see, as ever. Beautiful. I think these are 180 gram. For those of you that care about that sort of stuff. Some say it sounds better, some say it doesn't. I quite like it. It just sort of feels like a quality item to me. Now, I was so pleased that Stephen Wilson had got back with Mr. Geffen to make Blackfield. I bought the album twice, but then I'm easily fooled. This is another version of the same album, only on picture disc. I've not actually played this version of it. Haven't needed to because I've got the other version. But just to let you know, this version is out there as well. I guess you could describe 5 as a little bit more acoustic in its feel. Maybe a lot of piano, a lot of acoustic guitar. And apparently they were going more for a 70s feel on this album. But again, the songs are quite short compared to what one would expect from a usual prog album, for want of a better word. As I've mentioned before, if you're unsure about a band or you're not too sure whether or not you're going to like them, a best of is often a good way to get into them and discover whether or not you like the sound and the style of the music. And 2018 brought this. Blackfield Open Mind. This is the best of Blackfield. Here we go. Is the inside sleeve with a little bit of a bio. Some general pictures. The chaps on the back. And there's your track listing. Now, interestingly enough, most of the tracks on this album come off the first 2 albums and number 5. There's a smattering of tracks from number 4 and Welcome to My DNA, but less so. So quite interesting that even the band themselves are admitting that they're probably the best of the three of the best albums. So look, this is again another gatefold sleeve, beautifully packaged. Just about every Blackfield album is. This additionally comes in white vinyl. There are both discs, which is a little bonus for people like me who like these little twists. So Blackfield open mind is a good way for people who have not heard Blackfield to get into them. If you're going to buy the album collection, I'd get 1, 2 and 5 and then backfill the others if you really like them. The final work in the Blackfield canon, to date at least, came out in December 2020 with this for the music. So this is essentially their 6th studio album. And again, Stephen Wilson is involved in this, but only adds guitars and vocals, I think, on 3 tracks from memory. So again, it's predominantly a Geffen album. Inside, there we go, lovely gatefold. And your track listing again. This is again quite a short album, goes in more of a pop direction, sort of pop prog, a little bit light on for me. Now, to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't have bought this, but I am a completist, so I had the other albums, so it was silly for me not to own that. And then they went and made it impossible for me not to buy by putting it on coloured vinyl. So there we go. There's the label for you, all on Interscope or K-Scope. So that's Blackfield, a Stephen Wilson side project. If you're into Stephen Wilson, it can be a very expensive hobby because the man is prolific and has so many side projects. But his solo work is amazing. Porcupine Tree, and I am so excited that Porcupine Tree have just announced they're about to release a new album, which will be their first in 12 years. So very excited to listen to that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this short special, one band special. We've got some really exciting Bs coming up really soon, and some big specials, some big blocks of Bs that I have in my collection. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. All the bits and pieces downstairs would help me enormously, so please support me where you can. Stay grumpy, and I'll see you soon.